The Texas Chain Saw Massacre is one of, if not the most recognizable movies of the slasher subgenre, as well as being a personal favorite of mine. However, its success did mean it was flooded with various sequels, remakes, and reboots, all of which being not as good as the 1974 original. That also means that in the early 2000s, it was targeted by the reboot slasher era. The Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween as well were all victim to this phenomenon. Now, I want to talk today about the 1974 original and the 2003 remake to see if the 2003 film is a worthy remake and if the 1974 original holds up today. Now, I did have a very good experience first watching the 1974 original. It was a crisp October evening. Everyone else had gone to sleep, and I put on this film in the pitch black, and I had a wild ride watching it. I was originally expecting this just slaughter gore fest of a cannibalistic maniac just picking up his chainsaw and just cutting through crowds. I was completely wrong. I hadn't seen hardly anything about this movie before, with the exception of a couple clips, because the movie is 50 years old after all. But I was not expecting so many of these slasher formulas to come to life in this movie. Like the group of unsuspecting teens being stranded in the middle of nowhere, and a silent hulking brute wielding a power tool starts to come after them. As well as the final girl trope, I think, is also introduced in this movie, with Sally being probably the most recognizable one at the end when she's covered in blood, laughing her ass off while going into the sunset in the bed of the pickup truck. Now, something about this movie, and I cannot pinpoint it. It might be the low budget, it might be the working conditions of the actors, it might be just the overall Texas heat and how it affects everything. It might be a mixture of all of those components. But something about this film just felt really raw and dreamlike. Like I wasn't watching a movie. Like I was there with the actors in the moment. It felt, even including the title, The Texas Chain Saw Massacre, it felt like I was watching a documentary of what happened. And I'm sure a lot of you feel that way as well. And I don't really think it's something you can recreate in a polished Hollywood product the way the 2003 film tried to do. It just felt very, like I said, dreamlike and raw the way it was executed, with the actors being in these harsh working conditions. You can watch all sorts of documentaries about how this film was made. They're all very worth checking out. I might leave a link in the description to one if I remember. I'll probably forget. But nonetheless, this film just felt very real, like it wasn't a movie at all, which is one of the reasons why I think it holds up today, because the age, it doesn't wear down on the film, it actually reinforces it with the eerie, macabre vibe to this movie. So I 100% think this holds up 50 years later today. In fact, I went to go see a 50th anniversary release of this in the theaters, with the exception of the ending chainsaw dance being mixed horrifically and being too shrill in my eardrums. It was a very pleasant experience. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is to see if the 2003 is a worthy remake, or if it's just a absolute just slaughterfest cesspool like some people make it out to be. Now, 30 years after the film came out, or 29 to be exact, the 2003 Texas Chain Saw Massacre released. They got the original cinematographer from the 1974 film to work on this movie as well. However, it feels different. The cinematography doesn't feel the same as from the 1974 original, and I'm sure that was on purpose. This movie feels more like a polished Hollywood project, which comes with strengths and weaknesses as well. Obviously, they weren't able to recreate the dreamlike rawness that the original film had, but that doesn't mean the movie itself is bad. I think this is one of probably the best slasher movie remakes out there. This one is an excellent retelling of the original. It doesn't completely rip off the story, and then it doesn't completely just fling it somewhere else where it's unrecognizable. You still have a lot of the components from the 1974 film, like the teens getting stranded on their van, and they come across the farmhouse where they're chased after by the chainsaw-wielding cannibal we all know and love to be Leatherface. However, a lot of the conditions and nuances are significantly different, like the hitchhiker scene in the 2003 remake is way more brutal, and spoiler warning, instead of it being the green shirt wearing Leatherface's brother, where it's like this like goofy, comedic, but eerie scene, it's just the survivor of the previous bout of this family. She gets picked up by the teens. She starts rambling on about, I can't go back, when they're going in one direction. They pass a gas station. She recognizes it. She pulls a gun out of a place where the sun doesn't shine and shoots herself in the head, and that's what kicks off the movie. The cinematography behind this scene is way more brutal than the original. While the original was a little off-putting with the hitchhiker cutting his arm and then Franklin's arm as well, you get this panning shot, and I'm not sure how much detail I can get into, but you get a very good look at the gunshot wound from the woman who just shot herself. And it is a terrific job from this cinematographer. And I really appreciate how he's not trying to completely replicate the 1974's vibe. Instead, he is retelling the story through his cinematography and through the camera, which I really appreciate in this film. Now, this 2003 reboot is extremely graphic, though. The 1974 film hardly was bloody at all, despite all the controversy that circled it. Most of the violence, or not the violence, it is violent, but most of the blood and gore is just implied. Like, you do have a scene where, like, Leatherface smacks someone with a hammer, like, a time or two. That is violent. There's violence there, but they don't show blood hardly at all. I think the only, like, scene with violence and blood is Franklin's demise, which, you know, I think we can all get over that, considering we all hate Franklin. Yes, we all hate Franklin. But other than that, there's no bloody violence in this film. That's not the case for the 2003 reboot. They do not hold back. Between this one and its prequel released in 2006, there are some off-putting scenes. I don't find them very upsetting because I'm a sick pup, but if you don't like slasher movies, do not watch this movie. Despite it being a worthy remake, it is not for everyone. But then again, the slasher subgenre is not for everyone as is. So yes, I 100% think that the 2003 film is a worthy successor to the 1974 film. I like this movie so much. It's very close which one I like more. I've been thinking about this since I finished watching the 2003 reboot. I still haven't decided which one I like more. They're like as good, but for different reasons. The 1974 film it feels like you're watching a nightmare, right? It's not something you can really recreate, but it feels like you're watching a nightmare in a sickly state. And then you have the 2003 remake. You have Ermey. He plays Leatherface's dad. He easily takes the show there, right? I'm more scared of that dude in that movie than I'm scared of Leatherface. That dude is terrifying. Every scene that he's on camera, you're scared and you're on edge. So you have the 2003 movie, which is excellent at building tension. And then you have the 1974 film, which is excellent at building atmosphere. So they're both very good, but for different reasons. I feel like the 2003 probably is universally a better executed film than the 1974 one. I think just the conditions and a blend of everything that was happening made the 1974 film work. If like you had taken away like one or two components in the making of this movie, I don't think it would have aged well at all. However, it was just a perfect storm that made all the years behind it just reinforce the overall aesthetic to it, which I think is terrific and so satisfying to watch. But I really don't know which one of these movies I like more. I couldn't tell you. They're so vastly different, which is funny because they're telling the same story in a nutshell. But then again, I have to double down on this. The 2003 film and the 2006 prequel to this film, I feel like the 2006 movie doesn't get enough love. People don't like that one nearly as much as the 2003 movie. That kind of makes me upset. I feel like that one's really slept on, especially if you watch the unrated one, not the rated R one. That gives you a little bit more background on the family. They cut it out for whatever reason of the movie. But R. Lee Ermey takes the spotlight from everyone in that, especially the 2006 film. He is the most sinister person, like, in any horror movie I've ever seen. He is so creepy in these movies. It is just terrific. I completely forget that Leatherface exists whenever he's on screen. Which also leads me to talk about that Leatherface in the 2003 is a much different Leatherface than in the 1974. In the 1974, he is just this like impulsive, just man-child who just panics, like swings his hammer around. You can really see Gunnar Hansen portray that really well, especially after he kills Jerry about halfway through the movie. And then there's the shot of him sitting by the window and he's like panicking. And then he realizes that more dinner is coming his way. And so he kind of like hypes himself up. You can see Gunnar Hansen portray all of that without saying a single word, which hats off to him because that was an excellent performance, which can't ever be replicated, as evidenced by the 2003 sequel, or reboot, my bad. The 2003 one definitely has a special place for me, though. Leatherface feels a lot different in this one because he's more calm, collected, and just like an absolute killing machine in this one. Like, I would rather go up against Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface any day as opposed to the 2003 Leatherface. That guy is a menace. But I 100% think that the 1974 film holds up 50 years later, and that B, the 2003 reboot, is a worthy remake and a bit of a breath of fresh air, considering that the early 2000s reboot era there's some controversy behind it, especially with Nightmare on Elm Street and the Rob Zombie's Halloween. But that's all I really want to talk about for this video. I hope y'all let me know down in the comments what you think of the original film and the 2003 film, as well as any other Texas Chain Saw Massacre movies you want to discuss. The good, the bad, I want to hear all of it. With all that out of the way, you guys have a bloody good day.